a straw-capped hive. When first for April honey into faint flowers they dive. Chapter 30. Eben then paid his fare, and tiptoe went to Hum's hotel. And, as he on did pass, with head inclined, each dusky lineament showed in the pearl-paved street as in a glass. His purple vest, that ever peeping was rich from the fluttering crimson of his cloak, his silvery trousers, and his silken sash, tied in a burnished knot, their semblance took upon the mirrored walls, wherever he might look. Chapter 31. He smiled at self, and, smiling, showed his teeth. And seeing his white teeth, he smiled the more. Lifted his eyebrows, spurned the path beneath, showed teeth again, and smiled as heretofore, until he knocked at the magician's door, where, till the porter answered, might be seen in the clear panel more he could adore his turban wreathed of gold, and white, and green, mustachios, ear-ring, nose-ring, and his sabre keen. Chapter 32. Does not your master give a rout tonight? Quoth the dark page, oh, no. Returned the Swiss. Next door but one to us, upon the right. The Magasin de Modes now open is against the Emperor's wedding, and, sir, this my master finds a monstrous horrid bore. As he retired, an hour ago I wis, with his best beard and brimstone, to explore, and cast a quiet figure in his second floor. Chapter 33. Gad! He's obliged to stick to business. For chalk, I hear, stands at a pretty price. And as for aqua vitae, there's a mess. The dentes sapientio of mice, our barber tells me too, are on the rise. Tinder's a lighter article, niter pure. Goes off like lightning, grains of paradise. At an enormous figure. Stars not sure. Zodiac will not move without a slight douceur. Chapter 34. Venus won't stir a peg without a fee. And master is too partial entre nous to hush, hush, cried Eben, sure that is he. Coming downstairs, by Street Bartholomew. As backwards as he can, is't something new? Or is 't his custom, in the name of fun? He always comes down backward, with one shoe. Returned the porter, off, and one shoe on. Like, saving shoe for sock or stocking, my mad John. Chapter 35. It was indeed the great magician. Feeling, with careful toe, for every stair. And retrograding careful as he can. Backwards and downwards from his own two pair. Salpietro! Exclaimed Hum, is the dog there? He's always in my way upon the mat. He's in the kitchen, or the Lord knows where. Replied the Swiss, the nasty, yelping brat. Don't beat him, returned Hum, and on the floor came Pat. Chapter 36. Then facing right about, he saw the page. And said, don't tell me what you want, Eben. The Emperor is now in a huge rage. 'Tis 9 to 1 he'll give you the rattan. Let us away. Away together ran the plain-dressed sage and spangled blackamoor. Nor rested till they stood to cool, and fan, and breathe themselves at th Emperor's chamber door. When Eben thought he heard a soft imperial snore. Chapter 37. I thought you guessed, foretold, or prophesied. That's Majesty was in a raving fit? He dreams, said Hum, or I have ever lied. That he is tearing you, sir, bit by bit. He's not asleep, and you have little wit. Replied the page, that little buzzing noise, whatever your palmistry may make of it, comes from a plaything of the Emperor's choice. From a man-tiger organ, prettiest of his toys. Chapter 38. Eben then ushered in the learned seer. Elphanon's back was turned, but, any earthless both, prostrate on the carpet, ear by ear. Crept silently, and waited in distress, knowing the emperor's moody bitterness. Eben especially, who on the floor gone, tremble and quake to death, he feared less a dose of senility, or nightmare gorgon, than the emperor when he played on his man-tiger organ. Chapter 39. They kissed 9 times the carpet's velvet face, of glossy silk, soft, smooth, and meadow green, where the close eye in deep rich fur might trace a silver tissue, scantly to be seen, as daisies lurked in June grass, buds in green. Sudden the music ceased, sudden the hand of majesty, by dint of passion keen, doubled into a common fist, went grand, and knocked down 3 cut glasses, and his best inkstand. Chapter 40. Then turning round, he saw those trembling too. Eben, said he, as slaves should taste the fruits of diligence, I shall remember you tomorrow, or next day, as time suits, in a finger conversation with my mutes. Begone. For you, Chaldean, here remain. Fear not, quake not, and as good wine recruits a conjurer's spirits, what cup will you drain? Sherry and silver, hock and gold, or glassed champagne? Chapter 41. Commander of the faithful, answered Hum. In preference to these, I'll merely taste a thimbleful of old Jamaica rum. A simple boon, said Elphanan, thou mayst have Nance, with which my morning coffee's laced. 1. I'll have a glass of Nance, then, said the seer. Made racy, sure my boldness is misplaced. With the 3rd part, yet that is drinking dear, of the least drop of creme de citron crystal clear. Chapter 42. I pledge you, Hum, and pledge my dearest love, my Bertha. Bertha, Bertha, cried the sage. I know a many Berthas. Mine's above all Berthas, sighed the emperor. I engage, said Hum, in duty, and in vassalage, to mention all the Berthas in the earth. There's Bertha Watson, and Miss Bertha Page, this famed for languid eyes, and that for mirth. There's Bertha Blunt of York, and Bertha Knox of Perth. Chapter 43. You seem to know, I do know, answered Hum. Your Majesty's in love with some fine girl, named Bertha, but her surname will not come without a little conjuring. 'Tis Pearl. 'Tis Bertha Pearl. What makes my brain so whirl? And she is softer, fairer than her name. Where does she live? asked Hum. Her fair locks curl so brightly, they put all our fays to shame. Live, oh, at Canterbury, with her old grand dame. Chapter 44. Good, good, cried Hum, I've known her from a child. She is a changeling of my management. She was born at midnight in an Indian wild. Her mother's screams with the striped tigers blent, while the torch-bearing slaves a halloo sent into the jungles, and her palanquin rested amid the desert's dreariment, shook with her agony, till fair were seen the little Bertha's eyes ope on the stars serene. Chapter 45. I can't say, said the monarch, that may be just as it happened, true or else a bam. Drink up your brandy, and sit down by me. Feel my pulse, how much in love I am. And if your science is not all a sham, tell me some means to get the lady here. Upon my honor, said the son of Cham, too. She is my dainty changeling, near and dear, although her story sounds at first a little queer. Chapter 46. Convey her to me, Hum, or by my crown, my scepter, and my cross-surmounted globe, I'll knock you, does your majesty mean, down? No, no, you never could my feelings probe. to such a depth. The emperor took his robe, and wept upon its purple palatine. While Hum continued, shamming half a sob. In Canterbury doth your lady shine? But let me cool your brandy with a little wine. Chapter 47. Whereat a narrow Flemish glass he took, that since belonged to Admiral de Witt, admired it with a connoisseuring look, and with the ripest claret crowned it. And, ere the lively head could burst and flit, he turned it quickly, nimbly upside down, his mouth being held conveniently fit to catch the treasure, best in all the town. He said, smacked his moist lips, and gave a pleasant frown. Chapter 48. Ah! Good my prince, weep not. And then again he filled a bumper. Great sire, do not weep. Your pulse is shocking, but I'll ease your pain. Fetch me that ottoman, and prithee keep your voice low, said the emperor, and steep some lady's fingers nice in candy wine. And prithee, Hum, behind the screen do peep for the rose-water vase, magician mine, and sponge my forehead, so my love doth make me pine. Chapter 49. Ah, cursed Bellarmine! Don't think of her, rejoined the Mago, but on Bertha muse. For, by my choicest best barometer, you shall not throttled be in marriage noose. I've said it, sire. You only have to choose Bertha or Bellarmine. So saying, he drew from the left pocket of his threadbare hose a sampler hoarded slyly, good as new, holding it by his thumb and finger full in view. Chapter 50. Sire, this is Bertha Pearl's neat handiwork. Her name, see here, Midsummer, 91. Elphinan snatched it with a sudden jerk, and wept as if he never would have done, honoring with royal tears the poor homespun, whereon were broidered tigers with black eyes, and long-tailed pheasants, and a rising sun. Plenty of posies, great stags, butterflies, bigger than stags, a moon, with other mysteries. Chapter 51. The monarch handled o'er and o'er again these day-school hieroglyphics with a sigh, somewhat in sadness, but pleased in the main, till this oracular couplet met his eye. Astounded, Cupid, I do thee defy. It was too much. He shrunk back in his chair, grew pale as death and fainted, very nigh. Foe! Nonsense, exclaimed Hum, now don't despair. She does not mean it really. Cheer up, hearty, there. Chapter 52. And listen to my words. You say you won't, on any terms, marry Miss Bellarmine. It goes against your conscience, good. Well, don't. You say, you love a mortal. I would fain persuade your honor's highness to refrain from peccadilloes. But, sire, as I say, what good would that do? And, to be more plain, you would do me a mischief some odd day. Cut off my ears and hands, or head too, by my fay. Chapter 53. Besides, manners forbid that I should pass any vile strictures on the conduct of a prince, who should indulge his genius, if he has any. Not, like a subject, foolish matter mince. Now I think on, perhaps I could convince your majesty there is no crime at all in loving pretty little Bertha, since she's very delicate, not over tall, a fairy's hand, and in the waist very small. Chapter 54. Ring the repeater, gentle Hum. 'Tis 5. Said gentle Hum, the nights draw in apace. The little birds I hear are all alive. I see the dawning touched upon your face. Shall I put out the candles, please your grace? Do put them out, and, without more ado, tell me how I may that sweet girl embrace. How you can bring her to me. That's for you. Great Emperor. To adventure, like a lover true. Chapter 55. I fetch her. Yes, and tea like your majesty. And as she would be frightened wide awake. To travel such a distance through the sky. Use of some soft maneuver you must make. For your convenience, and her dear nerve's sake. Nice way would be to bring her in a swoon. Anon, I'll tell you what course were best to take. You must away this morning. So soon? Sire, you must be in Kent by 12 o'clock at noon. Chapter 56. At this great Caesar started on his feet. Lifted his wings, and stood attentive-wise. Those wings to Canterbury you must beat. If you hold Bertha as a worthy prize. Look in the almanac, more never lies. April the 24th, this coming day. Now breathing its new bloom upon the skies. Will end in a st. Mark's Eve, you must away. For on that eve alone can you the maid convey. Chapter 57. Then the magician solemnly gone to frown. So that his frost-white eyebrows, beetling low, shaded his deep green eyes. And wrinkles brown plated upon his furnace-scorched brow. Forth from his hood that hung his neck below, he lifted a bright casket of pure gold, touched a spring lock, and there in wool or snow, charmed into ever-freezing, lay an old and legend-leaved book, mysterious to behold. Chapter 58. Take this same book, it will not bite you, sire. There, put it underneath your royal arm. Though it's a pretty weight, it will not tire, but rather on your journey keep you warm. This is the magic, this the potent charm, that shall drive Bertha to a fainting fit. When the time comes, don't feel the least alarm, but lift her from the ground, and swiftly flit back to your palace. Chapter 59. What shall I do with that same book? Why merely lay it on Bertha's table, close beside her workbox, and 'twill help your purpose dearly. I say no more. Or good or ill betide, through the wide air to Kent this morn I glide. Exclaimed the Emperor, when I return. Ask what you will, I'll give you my new bride. And take some more wine. Oh, heavens! I burn to be upon the wing. Now, that minx I spurn. Chapter 60. Leave her to me, rejoined the Magian. But how shall I account, illustrious Fay, for thine imperial absence? Foe. I can say you are very sick, and bar the way to your so loving courtiers for one day. If either of their two archbishops' graces should talk of extreme unction, I shall say, you do not like cold pig with Latin phrases, which never should be used but in alarming cases. Chapter 61. Open the window. I'm ready now. Zooks, exclaimed as up the sash he drew. Behold, your majesty, upon the brow of yonder hill, what crowds of people! Few. The monster's always after something new. Returned his highness, they are piping hot to see my pig's neigh bellinane. Do tighten my belt a little, so, not too tight, the book, my wand, so, nothing is forgot. Chapter 62. Wounds. How they shout! Said and there, see, ambassadors returned from Pygmeo. The morning's very fine, uncommonly. See, past the skirts of yon white cloud they go, tinging it with soft crimsons. Now below the sable-pointed heads of firs and pines, they dip, move on, and with them moves a glow. Along the forest side, now amber lines reach the hill top, and now throughout the valley shines Chapter 63. Why, you're getting quite poetical. Those nows you managed in a special style. If ever you have leisure, sire, you shall see scraps of mine will make it worth your while. Titbits for Phoebus, yes, you well may smile. Hark! Hark! The bells. A little further yet. Good and let me view this mighty coil. Then the great emperor full graceful set his elbow for a prop, and snuffed his mignonette. Chapter 64. The morn is full of holiday, loud bells with rival clamors ring from every spire. Cunningly stationed music dies and swells in echoing places. When the winds respire, light flags stream out like gauzy tongues of fire. A metropolitan murmur, lifeful, warm, comes from the northern suburbs. Rich attire freckles with red and gold the moving swarm, while here and there clear trumpets blow a keen alarm. Chapter 65. And now the fairy escort was seen clear, like the old pageant of Aurora's train, above a pearl-built minster, hovering near. First wily Crafticant, the chamberlain, balanced upon his grey-grown pinions twain, his slender wand officially revealed. Then black gnomes scattering sixpences like rain. Then pages 3 and 3, and next, slave held the Imaean scutcheon bright, one mouse in argent field. Chapter 66. Gentlemen pensioners next. And after them, a troop of winged Janissaries flew. Then slaves, as presents bearing many a gem. Then 12 physicians fluttering 2 and 2. And next a chaplain in a cassock new. Then lords in waiting, then, what head not reels for pleasure? The fair princess in full view, borne upon wings, and very pleased she feels to have such splendor dance attendants at her heels. Chapter 67. For there was more magnificence behind. She waved her handkerchief. Ah, very grand, cried Elphanan, and closed the window blind. And, we must not shilly-shally stand. Adieu. Adieu. I'm off for Angleland. I say, old Hocus, have you such a thing about you? Feel your pockets, I command. I want, this instant, an invisible ring. Thank you, old mummy, now securely I take wing. Chapter 68. Then Elphanan swift vaulted from the floor, and lighted graceful on the window-sill. Under one arm the magic book he bore, the other he could wave about at will. Pale was his face, he still looked very ill. He bowed at Bellarmine, and said, Poor Belle, farewell. Farewell. And if for ever, still, for ever fare thee well. And then he fell a laughing, snapped his fingers, shame it is to tell. Chapter 69. By Our Lady. He is gone, cries and I own it, have made too free with his wine. Old Crafticant will smoke me. By the by, this room is full of jewels as a mine. Dear valuable creatures, how ye shine. Sometime today I must contrive a minute, if Mercury propitiously incline, to examine his scrutoire, and see what's in it. For of superfluous diamonds I as well may thin it. Chapter 70. The Emperor's horrid bad, yes, that's my cue. Some histories say that this was Hum's last speech. That, being fuddled, he went reeling through the corridor, and scarce upright could reach the stair-head, that being glutted as a leech, and used, as we ourselves have just now said, to manage stairs reversely, like a peach too ripe, he fell, being puzzled in his head with liquor and the staircase. Verdict, found stone dead. Chapter 71. This, as a falsehood, Crafticanto treats. And as his style is of strange elegance, gentle and tender, full of soft conceits, much like our Boswell's, we will take a glance at his sweet prose, and, if we can, make dance his woven periods into careless rhyme. Oh, little fairy Pegasus, rear, prance, trot round the quarto, ordinary time. March, little Pegasus, with pawing hoof sublime. Chapter 72. Well, let us see, 10th book and chapter 9. Thus Crafticant pursues his diary. 'Twas 12 o'clock at night, the weather fine. Latitude 36. Our scouts descry a flight of starlings making rapidly towards Thibet. Birds fly in the night. From 12 to half past, wings not fit to fly. For a thick fog, the princess sulky quite called for an extra shawl, and gave her nurse a bite. Chapter 73. 5 minutes before 1, brought down a moth. With my new double barrel, stewed the thighs, and made a very tolerable broth. Princess turned dainty, to our great surprise. Altered her mind, and thought it very nice. Seeing her pleasant, tried her with a pun. She frowned. A monstrous owl across us flies. About this time, a sad old figure of fun. Bad omen, this new match can't be a happy one. Chapter 74. From 2 to half past, dusky way we made. Above the plains of Gobi, desert, bleak. Beheld afar off, in the hooded shade of darkness, a great mountain, strange to speak, spitting, from forth its sulphur-bacon peak, a fan-shaped burst of blood-red, arrowy fire, turbaned with smoke, which still away did reek, solid and black from that eternal pyre, upon the laden winds that scantly could respire. Chapter 75. Just upon 3 o'clock, a falling star created an alarm among our troop, killed a man-cook, a page, and broke a jar, a tureen, and 3 dishes, at one swoop. Then passing by the princess, singed her hoop. Could not conceive what Coraline was at. She clapped her hands 3 times, and cried out, whoop. Some strange Imaean custom. A large bat came sudden, for my face, and brushed against my hat. Chapter 76. 5 minutes 13 seconds after 3. Far in the west a mighty fire broke out. Conjectured, on the instant, it might be the city of Balk. 'Twas Balk beyond all doubt. A griffin, wheeling here and there about, kept reconnoitering us, doubled our guard, lighted our torches, and kept up a shout, till he sheared off, the princess very scared, and many on their marrow bones for death prepared. Chapter 77. At 3:30 arose the cheerful moon, bivouacked for 4 minutes on a cloud, where from the earth we heard a lively tune of tambourines and pipes, severe and loud, while on a flowery lawn a brilliant crowd sync-parted danced, some half asleep reposed. Beneath the green feigned cedars, some did shroud in silken tents, and mid light fragrance dozed, or on the open turf their soothed eyelids closed. Chapter 78. Dropped my gold watch, and killed a kettledrum. It went for apoplexy, foolish folks left it to pay the piper, a good sum. I've got a conscience, maugre people's jokes to scrape a little favor, gone to coax. Her Highness Pug Dog got a sharp rebuff. She wished a game at whist, made 3 revokes. Turned from myself, her partner, in a huff. His Majesty will know her temper time enough. Chapter 79. She cried for chess, I played a game with her. Castled her king with such a vixen look. It bodes ill to his Majesty, refer to the 2nd chapter of my 40th book. And see what hoity-toity airs she took. At 4:30 the morn essayed to beam. Saluted, as we passed, an early rook. The princess fell asleep, and, in her dream, talked of one Master Hubert, deep in her esteem. Chapter 80. About this time, making delightful way, shed a quill feather from my larboard wing. Wished, trusted, hoped, 'twas no sign of decay. Thank heaven, I'm hardy yet. 'Twas no such thing. At 5 the golden light began to spring, with fiery shudder through the bloomed east. At 6 we heard Panthea's churches ring. The city all his unhived swarms had cast, to watch our grand approach, and hail us as we passed. Chapter 81. As flowers turn their faces to the sun, so on our flight with hungry eyes they gaze. And, as we shaped our course, this, that way run, with madcap pleasure, or hand-clasped amaze. Sweet in the air a mild-toned music plays, and progresses through its own labyrinth. Buds gathered from the green spring's middle days, they scattered, daisy, primrose, hyacinth, or round white columns wreathed from Capitol to plinth. Chapter 82. Onward we floated o'er the panting streets, that seemed throughout with upheld faces paved. Look where we will, our bird's-eye vision meets legions of holiday. Bright standards waved, and fluttering ensigns emulously craved our minute's glance. A busy thunderous roar, from square to square, among the buildings raved, as when the sea, at flow, gluts up once more the craggy hollowness of a wild-reefed shore. Chapter 83. And, Bellarmine for ever, shouted they, while that fair princess, from her winged chair, bowed low with high demeanor, and, to pay their new-blown loyalty with guerdon fair, still emptied, at meet distance, here and there, a plenty horn of jewels. And here I, who wish to give the devil her due, declare against that ugly piece of calumny, which calls them Highland pebble stones not worth a fly. Chapter 84. Still, Bellarmine, they shouted, while we glide slant to a light Ionic portico, the city's delicacy, and the pride of our imperial basilic. A row of lords and ladies, on each hand, make show, submissive of knee-bent obeisance, all down the steps, and, as we entered, lo! The strangest sight, the most unlooked-for chance. All things turned topsy-turvy in a devil's dance. Chapter 85. Stead of his anxious majesty and court. At the open doors, with wide saluting eyes, congees and scapegraces of every sort, and all the smooth routine of gallantries, was seen, to our immoderate surprise, a motley crowd thick gathered in the hall. Lords, scullions, deputy scullions, with wild cries, stunning the vestibule from wall to wall, where the Chief Justice on his knees and hands doth crawl. Chapter 86. Counts of the palace, and the state purveyor of Motha's down, to make soft the royal beds. The common council and my fool Lord Mayor, marching arrow, each other slipshod treads, powdered bagwigs and ruffy-tuffy heads, of cinder wenches meet and soil each other, toe crushed with heel ill-natured fighting breeds, frill-rumpling elbows brew up many a bother, and fists in the short ribs keep up the yell and pother. Chapter 87. A poet, mounted on the court clown's back, rode to the princess swift with spurring heels, and close into her face, with rhyming clack, began a prothalamion. She reels, she falls, she faints, while laughter peals over her woman's weakness. Where, cried I, where is his majesty? No person feels inclined to answer. Wherefore instantly I plunged into the crowd to find him or to die. Chapter 88. Jostling my way I gained the stairs, and ran to the first landing, where, incredible, I met, far gone in liquor, that old man. That vile impostor so far so well. For we have proved the mago never fell downstairs on Crafticanto's evidence. And therefore duly shall proceed to tell, plain in our own original mood and tense, the sequel of this day, though labor 'tis immense. To George Keats. Written in sickness. Brother, beloved, if health shall smile again upon this wasted form and fevered cheek, if e'er returning vigor bid these weak and languid limbs their gladsome strength regain, well may thy brow the placid glow retain of sweet content, and thy pleased eye may speak the conscious self-applause. But should I seek to utter what this heart can feel, vain were the attempt. Yet kindest friends, while o'er my couch ye bend, and watch with tenderness the being whom your cares could e'en restore from the cold grasp of death, say, can you guess the feelings which these lips can ne'er express? Feelings, deep fixed in grateful memory's store. The last sonnet. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night, and watching, with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountains and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft fall and swell, awake forever in a sweet unrest, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live ever, or else swoon to death. How do you find this book? Any thoughts about the book or the author? Any suggestion for improvement? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in a comment. If you like it, share it with your friends who might enjoy it as well. Subscribe to keep in touch. Visit CompleteAudiobooks.com for more quality content.